We have a recognized face in the markets right now is the journalist and host Mike McGuinness. He's going to talk about the markets of corn and soybeans and yet the planting conditions in North Carolina. Right here on Connected Farmer, your channel to keep you up to date with the latest trends in agriculture and livestock. So I have here my colleague Mike McGuinness. He is now working with DTN. He's a regular contributor for DTN, and also he has his own YouTube channel, Your World in Agriculture. I invite everyone to check it out and subscribe if you like it. But I know Mike for a long time, I think more than 10 years, and we have been colleagues, and he talks to a lot of sources in the corn and soybean markets. And right now, I want to hear from you, Mike. Uh, what has been the worries of mostly producers, but also analysts in this context of the war and soybeans under $13 and is still steady corn market.
Yeah, bom dia, tudo bem, Luis? I always like to throw out whatever Portuguese I know to you. Don't ask me anything else in Portuguese because I can't speak any further than that. But uh, when we talk about the markets, of course, the Iran-U.S. Conflict is overhanging the markets, and when you look about the row crop markets and soybeans especially, really soybeans has been driven by soybean oil for quite some time now for a couple of reasons. Number one, when soybean oil is attached to biodiesel, and of course, biodiesel attached to crude oil, and therefore, because crude oil has been going higher, that's been driving soybean oil prices as well, on top of the renewable fuel policies being passed in the U.S. So there's huge demand for soybean oil right now in the U.S. And globally, big demand for biofuels. So that's driving the soybean market. Also, we're seeing high crush levels for soybeans as well. So the soybean complex has had a lot of fundamental support for the market. Uh, Plus, in addition, we're expected to plant more soybeans this year and less corn, but because of the fertilizer issue in around the world, maybe some U.S. farmers will plant less corn this year and more soybeans. So that might put a little pressure on the soybean market. We'll find out, as the months go on. But soybeans hit over $12 for new crop futures just recently. Corn, new crop corn was $5. So those are pretty good selling points for producers, and hopefully some producers took the time to reward the market a little bit as we see this market hang around those levels because in the end the world is supplied very well with both grains and oil seeds. We have plenty of grains and oil seeds in the world, and the market knows that. Psychologically, it's going to eventually digest that fact, and so you're going to see some pressure on the markets ultimately because of that. So we'll see how the growing season goes. I always explain that there's a planting weather season, there is a growing weather season, and then a harvest weather season. So we're kind of in the middle of this planting season. We'll see how we finish up here in the next 30 days, and then we'll have to focus on the growing season and see if we get that
Yeah, since
weather.
you mentioned the weather, I'm going to jump in there. So we have had several reports of drier weather in some parts of the Midwest, but especially in the plains as usual. So but in the last couple of weeks, we have had rains in several regions of the country that may have saved the crop for now, What are you hearing at this point?
Well, so the USDA reported on Monday that 38% of the U.S. corn is planted, and that is ahead of the 5 year average pace, uh, slightly ahead of the 5 year pace for corn. Soybean planting is 33% complete as of May 3rd. That's 10% above the most recent, the previous week, and also above the 5 year above the 5 year average as well. So the corn and soybean planting is off to a good start. The soybean planting, especially, it's much higher than the uh, 5 year average. In fact, it's the soybean planting is 33%. It's above the 23% 5 year average. So again, as we mentioned, 10% above. And what happened was soybean farmers jumped out and planted a bunch of soybeans early. Well, then we had some cold weather come in, some frost temperatures actually, and some sub-freezing temperatures for especially for the Western Corn Belt. So the market got a little nervous there because emergence is way above its averages as well. So soybeans, the emergence percentage is 13%, and that's above a 5% average. And so there was a lot of nervousness because of the sub-freezing temperatures. Now you have to have a really hard frost to do some serious damage to the crop, but I think that we're going to get past that now, and I'm not sure if the market is going to be building in any risk premium, weather risk premium regarding frost. So we'll see going ahead what the weather is going to do, but you're looking at as far as planting pace for the Midwest, the major producing states. If you look at Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, they're mostly above their corn planting 5 year averages. Illinois just slightly above at 38% complete. Indiana is 42% complete, and Iowa also 42% complete on its 5 year average. However, in Iowa, the 5 year average is 44%, so they're slightly behind in Iowa, their 5 year average. But otherwise, Nebraska, 43%. So they're over their 39% 5 year average. So they're planting at a faster pace as well. And so the Midwestern farmers are not concerned yet about any, getting behind any. It's just that little scare with the weather that came out this past week. Going forward, we'll see if we get some normalization with the temperatures.
And for those who don't know, Mike is originally from Iowa, but now he's located in North Carolina in the southeast. Give us a little of a on-the-ground perspective on how the crop is growing there in your part of the United States.
You bet. Well, I'm located in the south central part of the state. A lot of the corn and soybeans are grown in the eastern part of the state and in the northern part of the state. So not so much in the western. That's where the Appalachian Mountains are, and so that would be less row crops in that area. So, but going into this month, the state of North Carolina was in a huge drought condition state. And so we were really needing a lot of rain going into May. As of yesterday, we received some pretty good rains throughout the state, except in the northern part, northern counties. But right now, the state of North Carolina, the corn planting progress, is 74% complete. So three-quarters of the way finished. And that increased from 57% last week. So a lot of fast corn planting here in the last week. The 5 year average is 79%, so we're slightly below the 5 year average, but way ahead of the last week. Some of these farmers have been planting in the dust, with dust blowing behind their planters as they go through because it was dry. Keep in mind, the corn planting has been going on for 2 or 3 weeks, and some maybe even 4 weeks. The farmers supposedly, according to the North Carolina Corn Growers Executive Director Rhonda Garrison, she tells me that the farmers in the southern counties are almost done with corn and soybeans. They'll switch to soybeans or peanuts here in the next week or so. But the farmers in the central and the northern counties are the ones that are not quite finished yet. So that's on corn, soybeans. The trying to find the the planting pace for soybeans, and the farmers have 24% of their crop planted right now, and that is just slightly ahead of the 5-year average of 19%. So not a lot of soybeans are trying to get their corn finished, and then they'll switch to soybeans and or peanuts. Um, so we do have in North Carolina corn that's standing about foot high right now because of the early planting in this state. Just to give you a bigger picture, Luis, last year North Carolina farmers planted 890,000 acres, so just below a million acres of corn. This year, because of the fertilizer issue, I was told by the North Carolina Corn Growers Association that we could see a slight dip in corn acres in North Carolina. Most of the corn is fed to large poultry producers and large hog operators in this state. Keep in mind, North Carolina is the second largest hog producer in the country, only behind Iowa. And so large hog operations and large poultry. So a lot of this corn will be fed. So as these vertically integrated companies get into the summer and might be a little light on corn supplies, then they might offer up a higher price for corn farmers to sell their crop.
Well,
That's kind of the cycle.
yeah, that's very interesting to learn at this point in the harvest, in the planting progress. What else would you like to let us know, Mike?
Well, again, the the weather is, I think, is going to be the story going forward. And you've heard a lot of talk about the super duper El Nino that may be headed this way. From what I can gather, it means mild temperatures and a summer for the Midwest. We'll see if that actually happens or not. But I think that, again, as we go forward here, the market's getting a little tired of trading headline after headline with this Iranian war. It's obviously, will be traded once we decide if we're going to, end the war or not, or if it's going to continue, because a lot of it will hinge on what the crude oil market does.
Well, we appreciate your time, Mike, and you are welcome to come back as many times as you want.
Obrigado. Obrigado.
If you made it this far, this is for you. If you want deeper insights into how agriculture, geopolitics, and global markets actually connect, subscribe to the Geopolitics Report on Substack. That's where I go beyond the headlines, breaking down the strategies, risks, and shifts shaping the global food system. Subscribe and stay ahead. Thank